So I'll make sure that I keep it short, but I am truly here for very selfish reasons. Starting with on March 29th, it's my birthday. And all I want to see happen on my birthday is for Elon to be taken down. Yes.
So I think everybody should really enjoy taking this guy down and the stock down. And because of the example it will set, nothing's going to. We are in an oligarchic country that's fascist and becoming more fascist every day, and that means people are going to die, and it's going to get as ugly as we can think. And the only way to stop that is if the people who have the money are afraid of us, the 99%. And it's the people who own the society, the owners, those people. We have to make them really afraid. And what's happening now with Musk is making them very afraid.
Several days later.
These vandals on Tesla vehicles and dealerships, give us the consequences there, and what are you learning once they're arrested? Why are they doing this?
Well, we're looking at so much on this. There have been 3 federal charges so far, and I say so far. We are looking at all of these cases across the country. We have a dedicated task force. These are not isolated incidents, as you know, and these aren't vandals. These are Molotov cocktails. That could be a weapon of mass destruction that they're throwing in Tesla dealerships, that they're lighting these Tesla charging stations on fire that are in residential neighborhoods. I mean, it could cause tremendous damages. And people need to know that 3 people in custody right now, they will receive severe and swift consequences, and they are facing up to 20 years in prison. We are not negotiating these. We are not coming off these charges. We are looking at everything, especially if this is a concerted effort. This is domestic terrorism. And Maria, now you have this Congresswoman Crockett who is calling for attacks on Elon Musk on her birthday. Let's take him out on my birthday, she says. Yet she turns and says, oh, I'm not calling for violence. Well, she is an elected public official. And so she needs to tread very carefully because nothing will happen to Elon Musk. And we're going to fight to protect all of the Tesla owners throughout this country, and it's this basic safety. Once again, domestic terrorism is going to come to a stop in our country.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about Ghetto Democrat Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, who has been issued a stark warning from Attorney General Pam Bondi about her rhetoric when it comes to inciting the violence against Tesla and Elon Musk that is currently happening from the left-wing extremists, okay, who are again, currently participating in acts of domestic terrorism. Now, Jasmine Crockett is going to respond to Pam Bondi on MSNBC. And in my opinion, I think that Jasmine Crockett clearly is triggered. Okay, she is angry. She's upset over the fact that Pam Bondi told her that she better tread lightly when it comes to how she carries herself in public in regards to inciting liberal violence against Elon Musk and Tesla's. And I want to talk about this interview because the way that MSNBC covers Jasmine Crockett in this situation, it tells you everything you need to know about how shameful of a news organization MSNBC actually is, because they're not going to confront Jasmine Crockett on the violence that is happening from the left in the same way that they would if it was a Trump supporter and they wanted to talk about January 6th. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this.
Safety.
Joining me now is Texas Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, vice-ranking member on the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform and ranking member of the House Oversight Committee. Congresswoman, pardon me. It's always good to see you, my friend. And I'm going to say, I was looking at you on the monitor while you were listening to Pam Bondi. You seem to be not fazed at all.
Wow. Listen to this DNC propagandist, right? Because that's what this is. You seem to not be fazed at all. And it's like, bro, look at her face. Of course she's fazed, right? She's heated right now. She doesn't like the fact that Pam Bondi sent her that warning. Okay, look at her face, right? She's angry, right? She's clearly triggered. Talk about she's not fazed. She looked fazed the whole time, okay? But again, notice MSNBC here. The images that they play, right? How they're not going to play any images of the domestic terrorism that is happening in this country from the left, right? They're not going to play any of the images of the Teslas on fire or being blown up or the dealerships being shot up, anything like that, right? They're not going to play any of that stuff. Why? Because they don't want their audience to see that, hey, this stuff is happening in this country because of the Democrats, right? And their rhetoric, right? So again, this is propaganda, what we're watching here, okay? What MSNBC is doing. Blatant propaganda that is disgusting if you think about it, especially considering how these people claim that they are so concerned about political violence in this country. But yet they turn the other way. They ignore it when the left, when they are committing acts of violence.
The Attorney General there, though, is telling you to tread carefully. I'm curious your response, and have some of these protests at Tesla dealerships gone too far?
Yeah, so I'm actually going to say that I participated in a Tesla takedown. That is the name of the website. And it was all about this large protest that they're calling for. And this is a nonviolent protest that they're calling for. And in fact, when I was on there, which is why the Attorney General had to say that I wasn't calling for violence, and it's ridiculous that I even have to say something like that. But because they are trying to twist our words, one of the things that I told people to do is make sure you are adhering to the laws in your area. Make sure you know what it looks like to protest and to be able to raise your voices and to exercise your constitutional right to free speech. And what we see is that they want to dull our free speech rights. They want to make sure that those that are participating in the press, because we saw that there have been recent attacks specifically on this news organization, they want y'all to kind of tamp down what you say and hopefully buy into the lies instead of going out there and just telling the truth. And so, yeah, I'm excited to see that Elon Musk, that his money as it relates to Tesla, well, Tesla's tanking right now. And I'm okay with that. So just in case the slow people listening decide to clip this up later, I just want to say that I have never promoted violence whatsoever. Yet I've also never made excuse for those violent actors, such as the ones on January 6th. So Pam Bondi, if you have an issue with terrorism, maybe you should talk to your boss about locking back up those guys that he let out that participated in January 6th.
Yeah, but see, again, the real question here is, do you denounce what's currently happening? Yeah, you can talk about January 6th all you want, right? That's what they do when they don't have an actual real rebuttal, right? Or they can't defend themselves. They just default to January 6th, okay? I mean, Republicans condemn January 6th, right? Unlike Democrats who haven't condemned BLM, they haven't condemned the Roe v. Wade rioters, they haven't condemned the pro-Palestinian rioters, they haven't condemned Antifa, and they haven't condemned the anti-Elon Musk rioters and domestic terrorists, right? So again, the real question here, if this woman was a journalist and not a propagandist, should be, okay, so you condemn the violence, right? Since you are plotting peaceful protests, right? Because to me, in that conversation that she had with those individuals, it didn't sound like they were plotting just peaceful protests, right? These don't sound like the type of individuals that would say, no. The violence against Tesla is bad, right? These sound like the type of individuals that will turn the other way while violence is committed against Tesla and then, not really say anything about it, right? Because again, they're totally fine. They're totally okay with this type of violence when they agree with it, right? But then they want to turn around and lecture everybody about January 6th, about one day, okay? When these people routinely use the threat of violence to get what they want. In my opinion, I think that meeting that Jasmine Crockett had with the Tesla terrorists, the Tesla takedown group, I personally believe that these individuals are contributing to the extremism that is happening in this country that is resulting in the vandalism and the acts of terrorism that we've seen from these leftists, right? Because ultimately these leftists have been emboldened and brainwashed, radicalized by the Democrat Party, by Democrat activists like Jasmine Crockett. So yeah, I think that Pam Bondi was right to issue Jasmine Crockett a warning that, hey, you need to be careful about what you're saying in public, because right now, again, you have the lunatics committing acts of terrorism and you're basically cheering it on, right? You're cheering it on. You're not denouncing it. You're not coming out here and saying you don't agree with it, right? So again, it's just fascinating because the next question from this propagandist should be, do you denounce it, right? Are you okay with what's currently happening? Because these are the same people that beg Trump supporters to denounce January 6th and white supremacist violence and all this other crap all the time. But when Democrats, their side of the aisle commits violence, they're silent, right? They're never asking Democrats to denounce anything or to say that they don't agree with it, right? It's just funny how that works.
When Pam Bondi, though, says, tread carefully, what does that even mean?
Yeah. All it means is that she's attempting to get me to say, oh, I'm going to be scared and I'm just not going to say anything, because they are willing to literally break the law. I mean, that's what we've seen them do. They are ignoring court orders. They are ignoring what our own laws are. When we look at things such as impoundment, things like that, this entire administration is rogue. And this isn't about partisanship. I keep trying to tell people that we are living in the time of good versus evil, right versus wrong. And right now, when we are looking at the black letter of the law and they are deciding, I'm just going to ignore it, then they are wrong. That is clear as day. And right now, they are going after anyone who decides that they will challenge them, whether it's the judges that are sitting on the benches, whether it is lawyers that have decided that they were going to represent their clients to the best of their ability, and most of them won against Trump and his administration. Basically, they are trying to get rid of all voices of dissent.
Yeah, but again, the question is committing acts of terrorism against Teslas wrong, Jasmine Crockett, right? Do you denounce that? Is that something that you support, or do you denounce it? Okay, again, I just wish that MSNBC would actually do some journalism, right? Ask her one good question, right? Just ask her. But see, again, what they do is that they just allow her to come up here and to pretend as if she is not encouraging and inciting these individuals to go out here and to commit these acts of violence, right? And this is why MSNBC is also responsible, along with the Democrat Party, for what's happening in this country. And this is why I have no issues whatsoever with the Trump administration saying the things they're currently saying about the media, right? And how what they do, basically, it's a disgrace to this country. It really is, okay? It is a disgrace. They're at the point now where, again, they're just operating as a full-blown propaganda arm for the Democrat Party. Nothing more, nothing less. They don't care about actual journalism. And again, we all know if the shoe was on the other foot here, right? If the Republicans had put out a video the way that Jasmine Crockett put out a video where she basically said, all I want for my birthday is to take down Elon Musk, right? If a Republican had put out a video like that, right, around January 6th, do you think that MSNBC will be treating that as, oh, well, hey, that's just, he's not trying to incite violence or anything like that, right? No, that's not how they would interpret it, right? We know this because they basically tried to lock President Trump up in jail for saying peacefully and patriotically march to the Capitol, right? Peacefully, patriotically, okay? They said, oh, he incited an insurrection. But Jasmine Crockett talked about how she wants to take down Elon Musk. That's what she wants for her birthday in the midst of left-wing extremists staging terrorist attacks against Teslas. That's not incitement. That's not her calling for violence against Elon Musk, right? To me, I'm just saying, if a Republican said, if the shoe was on the other foot, we all know what they will be saying, right? These are the same people who were boo-hoo whining, crying about President Trump talking about an economic bloodbath, right? Again, these are the same people who take everything that President Trump says and they say, oh, well, he's calling for violence, right? That's what they do. But when Democrats, when they go out here and they radicalize their supporters to actually commit violence, and we see it, again, this propagandist can't even ask the basic question of, okay, so do you want to denounce what's happening to Tesla? Do you support that? Do you think it's a good thing? Again, she should be asking those questions, but she's not, right? She's not. And this is why Pam Bondi, I wish she would stop issuing these warnings, right? Stop warning these Democrats. You don't need to warn the Democrats that you are looking into arresting them for inciting violence in this country. Just do it. Just do it. Don't warn them. Just do it. Just do it, right? That's all I want to see. Nothing would make me happier than to see Jasmine Crockett face some accountability, right? Because again, we know if the shoe was on the other foot, that's what Democrats would be doing. I mean, they tried to literally lock up President Trump for that very same thing, right? For inciting violence, right? That's what they tried to do. They tried to throw the man in jail. That was the whole January 6th thing, okay? So, hey, maybe Democrats should get a taste of their own medicine, right? Since they feel like everything that the president says is a call to violence, then, hey, you know what? We can interpret that when it comes to how the Democrats are out here radicalizing their supporters who are actually out here committing violence, right? That they refuse to condemn. They refuse to denounce. And MSNBC, again, their propagandists aren't even asking the Democrats to say, hey, we don't agree with this, because they all agree with it, right? Clearly. So Pam Bondi, no more warnings. Just do what you got to do. Do what you got to do. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.